here to interview you, Nancy, about the journey. And human journeys are interesting, and people like to listen to other people's experiences because they sort of identify with them in one way or the other. And so as we have this conversation, let it just be a relaxed conversation. Bring up what it will, bring up the themes that it will, because people will identify with some things and other people will identify with other things. So just first things first, maybe just start with saying your name and where you came from.
Today.
Where you hail from.
Where I hail from. Okay. So I have 4 names. Nancy Nyambura Wagimaina. Yeah, I'm not sure where I come from, and what I mean is, I think it depends with what identity you want me to use. So I grew up in many places, but now my parents live in Moranga, so I don't know whether I'm from Moranga or not. But my parents are from Nyeri, so so maybe those are my roots. The origin is Nyeri.
Those must be your roots, yeah.
Yeah. So please no stereotyping around Nyeri women. Anyway, so but importantly, I'm a child of God. I think for me that's all those other identities are great, but they can really oscillate, so what I identify most with is that I'm a child of God. So I come from God.
You come from God. And just going back to your names, there are many people who don't connect with this particular aspect, but is there significance in your names? Nancy, Wagi, is there significance in those names?
I'm really liking this. Yesterday, thanks for that question. I was doing an assignment around leadership and all that, and then one of the questions was, who are you? What's your essence? What's your vibe center? Who really are you? And then I decided to Google then my middle name, Nancy Nyambura, that's my third name, right? Wagi. It's actually a Filipino name.
Wow.
I know, right?
So,
it's a Filipino.
I know. Where did your father have links with Filipinos or something?
And it's actually a root word. Wagi means triumph. So it has verbs, adverbs, nouns. So I think now can I check on my phone? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Actually, I posted it. I put it in. We can
always edit where we don't want to see your phone.
Oh yeah. So there's I have a WhatsApp group for myself. I talk to myself. So that's what I'm checking.
That's good.
Yeah. So when I have thoughts.
So it's like a journal.
Yes.
You'd say
Yeah. So if I'm happy already, I'm very happy about this and all that. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So Wagi means a winner. So it's a root word in the Filipino language. So it's related to winning. So Wagi itself means a winner or prevailing or triumphant. With ing.
Triumphing.
Yeah, that one. So winning in a contest or in a fight. So it has many verbs, So
it's a verb. It's a verb. Triumphing. You're in the process of winning.
Yeah, to prevail. Winner, winning, to win over. So that's.
And why do you like that? Maybe that we are jumping the gun a little bit here, but why do you like that name?
Actually, I like the Filipino meaning more. Actually, it doesn't have like from a tribal language, like it doesn't make sense at all. But then I was told when I asked from my family members, my grandparents and all, they said it's because that lady was really resilient. So I actually like this one more. And now when I was writing the assignment yesterday, I thought I've actually won many things. I've had a lot of victories. And then I said I'll be using this word much more than before. Then the name Nancy is a city in France, that's what I know. I also Googled and I saw it means grace or favor. The Hebrew.
Okay.
Is it Hebrew or Greek meaning? And then Nyambura in my tribal name means rain, the one who was born during rain.
Wamvua.
Yeah, Wamvua.
Okay.
And you know,
I've never stopped.
Oh, really?
I mean, I've met the name
Yeah.
Nyambura many times.
Yeah.
As you know, it's
Yeah.
quite common.
yeah,
But I've never related it with Wamvua. That's
yeah.
interesting.
Bura is rain.
Yeah.
Like in
Yeah,
Kikuyu,
yeah,
Bura
yeah.
is rain. So
Yeah.
Nyambura is wa of the rain.
Of the rain,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So directly that means a blessing.
Mm.
Yeah, and then I checked my dad's name, Maina, it means joy. The one who brings joy. So
That's
yeah.
quite a combination. Rain, joy,
Winning.
triumph,
Victory,
all that,
yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
And then Nyeri women are also known for
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
feisty and
Those ones, yeah, that's
go
not
getters.
me.
No, not in
Anyway,
the
yeah.
not in the.
Yeah.
I don't mean it in the fighting
Yeah,
aspect,
yeah.
the negative aspect of that, but feisty, go getters.
Courageous.
And that sort of describes, at
Yeah.
least the little I know of you, that sort of describes
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Anyway, let's get on to this story of we start we start where we met or how we met or what you are going through when we met, because I basically just want to pull out, maybe it's a selfish thing, to pull out what my walk with you has resulted in. And so the beginning of that and the journey to where we are now. And I'm hoping some things can come out of that. So how we met, what circumstances, what you are going through, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. And maybe before we go to that, I want to say thank you very much for this opportunity. And I'm happy to do this because what we have had in terms of a coaching mentorship relationship has worked for me. So that's why I'm happy to do this. And this is not PR. And those who know me closely know you because of the mentorship coaching. I'm using those words loosely because I think we've had both of that, you know. Yeah, my parents, some of my siblings know you. Where I work, they know you. So it's so I'm doing this from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
Appreciation and honoring the person you are to me in the different seasons of life. Yeah, so that's why I'm doing this. Yeah, so sijalipwa, money hasn't been paid.
Well,
I'm
thank
doing it voluntarily. I think we were supposed to do this some time ago, but this is the right time. Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to say that before I go into how we met.
All right, no problem.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that means it will just be a natural conversation.
Yeah.
And I prefer that.
Yeah. So I met you first, you didn't meet me. This is what I mean. I attended the Nairobi Baptist Church Ngong Road on a particular Sunday. I came to church late. Actually, I came so late because you were preaching already.
Wow.
Yeah, I came in and you were preaching.
So the last leg of the service.
Yes. And the reason I came late is because I think I had a boyfriend in quotes he wasn't a boyfriend. We're getting to know each other. And he was from a different religion. Or he wasn't sure of what religion. He wasn't Christian. And I knew as a Christian church girl, I wasn't supposed to be thinking like that. But because he was a nice guy, he was a nice human being. What's wrong with nice human beings? And I was also going through, I was angry, I was bitter. I don't know whether I was resentful at that time. I don't know which one comes first. But I had just lost my job in an unfair way, and I was going through the emotions of grieving, wondering, what is this? I've always known God all my life, and so this was a loss I was trying to process with God, and sometimes without God. I'm like, hey, God, where are you now? But I still loved God, but I was battling. Yeah, I hadn't lost my faith. I hadn't given up on God. I hadn't stopped going to church. But within, I think, those maybe a month or so, I was just there. So I had traveled to meet the young man. And then, but when I went, you know the way you're not supposed to go? But I went, and then even day one when we met, we had disagreements from here to Timbuktu. Like the trip was just chaos after chaos after chaos. So it was, in fact, I left the second day, went to another country. So then there were riots, what have you. So I had to stay a bit until now the post-election violence.
Yeah.
And then I came back. So I think the night I came back, or 2 nights, I can't remember. Then there was a concert for either Don Moen, and I can't remember, in Sitamkara, and I went, I cried. But then I said, I wrote a letter to the young man. I told him, you know what, I'm a church girl. I don't date people who are not of my faith. I'm sorry for misleading you. This is what God says, blah blah blah, and I've repented to God.
So it's like you came to your senses at that point.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And you would say it's the going to the concert, the Don Moen, and some messages were coming through.
Yes.
That got you to your senses.
Yes, and I would just cry the whole time. You know, as a Christian, God speaks to you, so you know you're not supposed to, but you just do it. So God had already started to convict me. Anyway, like, the truth is I already knew from the beginning. Anyway, so then now the next day in the morning I text my friend. She's living in a different country, so when I text her, so by the time she texted me back, it was I think around 10 or 11, I can't remember, in the morning. Then I told her, then she told me, today you've made a good decision. You go to church, after church go eat sisal somewhere and congratulate yourself for making a good decision. And so that's when I went to church. And
so this is a friend. This is a friend that had been that was aware of your situation.
Yes.
And so meaning,
age-mate, yeah.
And from what you have said there, it seems like she was already feeling that you were doing the wrong thing.
Yes.
And yet she was almost like letting you do until this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Even when I left for the trip, she told me, I don't approve of the decisions you've made, but I respect. I'll be checking on you. And I sort of was accountable, and I knew I wasn't going because I was in love. It's because of the other baggage that I had that was projecting. The way you just want to look away from this. You're running away from the situation, but the situation is you. So you think by coming from one place to another, you'll be better, yeah? So we've always had that relationship where we kept each other accountable. Like, if you want to mess up, just tell me you're messing up. If you know, so we had such a safe friendship. Okay. So she knew. Yeah, so I went to church. I walked to Nairobi Baptist Church, sitting like this. Then the reverend in session was you, and you were talking about how not to date boys who are not of the same religion.
I must admit I don't remember. I don't remember the message, and maybe that particular part was just a small part of it. But maybe it became a big thing for you, and sort of you felt like the whole sermon was on that particular.
Can I give you details? Because I remember. Imagine I remember.
Okay, go ahead.
So when I came and I came in. What I remember is you said when you were dating, when you were young, you had this girl who you liked who was not a believer. And she did everything else. I mean, she did what non-believers do. So I think she used to go to club and all that. So one day you followed her to the club. You were not doing what she was doing, but you followed her. So I think you were trying to keep her safe or to show interest and all that. And then when you were there, either the same day or later, she asked you, why are you following me and you're a believer? You're a church boy.
It was the same day. So I remember that illustration.
I was like, that's me. I'm trying to bring someone so that I can like them, so that I can help them. That's what I remember. And other things that you said.
Yeah.
And then the other thing you said was, you spoke to single people, you spoke to married people. You also spoke about infidelity within marriage. And then you spoke about starting again, what have you, and restoration. And then you said, since it's a very sensitive topic, you will not ask people to come to the altar. You will not ask people to raise hands, which I found very, very nice. Like who will go anyway? Sensitive, yeah. So, and then you said, but all the pastors will remain behind, and then you can come to the pastors later. So people actually remained behind. And then you said, I will be the last person, that one I've never forgotten, to leave this place until everybody goes. I was like, oh, you'll wait. And so I waited until everybody left. And like you said, you were the last person. So I came to you.
Okay.
Yes, and we were just me and you in the whole big church. Then I came and I told you about the decision I'd made.
The stories.
And then you prayed for me. And then you told me, look for me. Then you gave me your numbers, like, look for you for what? Yeah, you've already prayed. Pastors just pray me, I go home. Yeah.
Pray, go.
Nimepeana tithe na offering. What else do you want from me? Yeah.
And I think as pastors we have those boundaries, and we have learned to keep within those boundaries. But sometimes there are people that are going through stuff where they just feel that they just need that little extra interest, so that a person is saying there is sincere interest in me in this particular regard, and in that sense, I just sense that you needed that extra little push, that there's this interest, and it is for it to translate into that God has interest in you was the aim that I had there. And then what happened days after that? Did it end there? What happened?
Sorry, that one is gone.
Oh no, battery. Let's continue until it does.
Actually, what happened after that, I found it weird in a nice way. Like, I didn't mind the help, but I don't remember the last time a pastor offered a number to me. Or I used to fear pastors. Yeah, I grew up in church where pastors wear robes, then they stay at the altar and the rest of us on this side. So I was always on this other side. So it's like, pastors just preach, it's a function. For me, I hadn't had a relationship with a pastor. It's a function of I've come to church, I've been baptized, whatever. So I don't want to say business,
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Then I was like, there's no way I'm going to call him. No, we are done. See, nimeombewa, I'm okay now. So then I joined Daystar. So this is August. I think I'd already applied for my master's. And then I joined Daystar, and then I'm still hurting and feeling, I still have so many emotions to process. In fact, I said I won't be employed again. It's like, I just need probably 6 months, I don't know how long, to just heal from the previous hurtful, experience at work.
Yeah.
So then I go to Daystar. Then Daystar, they usually have an induction process, which involves attending chapel. So it's like a Christian service. And then I was the master's program, so the mass or the service was in the evening, and it was in Nairobi Baptist, the smaller.
Yeah, small sanctuary.
Yeah. Then because I was so excited about my master's program, I went early. And then I saw you with other people setting up Zoom. I'm like, is that the dude I saw?
And you did not expect?
Yeah, I'm like, is it? I'm like, I don't think so. Like, whatever. So I remember I sat at the back. Then you prepare people came. We were very few, not many. We're not, so you are the one leading the service. So there's no way. I don't think we're like 15 or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And then now, I immediately the service ended. I literally ran away. Then I think we were having weekly. I can't remember. Then now the second one or the third one. I think I saw you like 2 times after that. Then I said, let me just say hi to this man because I think he sees me and I'm not sure. It's becoming awkward. So it was still in Nairobi Baptist Church, the small sanctuary. Then I remember you at the front, either the piano or something, at the guitar. Then I came and said that. Then he said, you remembered my name? I was like, oh, you do? Oh. Okay, anyway. I said, we should connect. I said, sure. And then I think when I started now attending day chapels, because I was doing full-time masters, it was still there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then I decided, let me just flow. So I think what I remember after that is either you invited me to the office, then there was another lady called Rachel, and there were other young people. So it was a really easy conversation. It was just hanging out the way you hang out with friends. And I thought, this is nice, not so bad. I don't mind having friends because, when you're doing your master's, it can be lonely. You just go to class.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. So I didn't really have friends, so I didn't mind. And then I remember one of the staff members lost their dad. I don't remember who she was. And then, since you are the chaplain, you are asked to go for the mashakaya.
Yeah.
You know what that's called in English. It's called anyway, like service for fellowship at someone's house when someone dies. And then you asked me to go with you. It's like, what do you want me to do? And then we just hang out. I was just open-minded. I remember we drove all the way to Karen. We arrived, and then of course you were at the front. And then you asked me to sit there. And then there were all lecturers. There were no students. nice beautiful house, snacks.
Oh, it was in a house? I
Yeah, it
don't
was in
remember.
Karen. No, it was in Runda, Kitusuru.
Okay, I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember very well because I was so fresh. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
and then that was it. You led the service, just kawaida service. Then after that, I think you took me home. And then I was like, okay, is that it? Then that's when I realized that's how you mentor people. You don't have, let's see, I'm doing this, let's do this. So I realized when there were activities or something you're doing, you tell me, I'm going to blah blah blah. Do you want to go with me? Then when I come, I see there are 2-3 people, all of us together. Then we all go. I was like, oh, okay. Then I was like, oh, this is how pastors are. Yeah, just kawaida. You know, that's when I really understood. Not I understood. I started having a different worldview of who pastors are.
Pastors and their
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. So yeah, we just
Okay.
hang out, activities, campus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
it. Mhm,
I think now I then want to move on, like moving forward
Yeah.
towards focusing on then what has become your focus in work, and that is Lugha Ishara. I want to sort of pull out what the beginning of Lugha Ishara, especially after we met, kind of thing, you know, where it came from. And what I'm looking for there is how it grew from inception in your head to becoming this organization that it is now. And if you can trace some very specific steps along the way.
Yeah, so let's pack the boy girl things aside. So concurrently, as I was going through whatever emotions I was going through,
Yeah.
while I was at work, I became very invested in deaf young people
Yeah.
because I'd worked in Indonesia for 2 years, and that's where I met deaf children for the first time. So when I came back to the country, I was like, I don't think they're deaf people in Kenya. I'm telling you, I was that ignorant.
Just wait, when you went to Indonesia, was it specifically to work with the deaf, or you just...
Not specifically,
Okay.
it was just a program for people with disabilities.
Oh, okay.
And then deaf children were amongst, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I came back, I was like, I don't think, the Lord forgive us, there are deaf people in Kenya. So, and then while at work, one of my classmates who were together in campus in my undergraduate program joined us. And then when he joined the office I was in, he used to sit behind me because it was open office. And then when he came, he told me he's deaf. I'm like, deaf? You can't be deaf. You're never deaf. And that's when my journey started into in understanding the deaf space, deaf children, deaf young people. So I was assigned some deaf related programs at work. I loved it. I enjoyed it.
Was that by choice? Did you started to focus on the deaf? And
Yeah.
And therefore, your leaders, your manager would have noticed that, and then they gave you responsibility.
Yeah. Actually, I felt guilty. I felt guilty that I never really connected with the deaf children in Indonesia, because I had to learn Bahasa Indonesia, the language, and then you had to learn Bahasa Sign language, which I did not even get close to. So I felt like I would have been a better friend to them if I knew the language.
Yeah.
If I knew sign language, I knew the local language. So when I came back, I wanted to reach out to deaf children. Actually, not that time. It was just deaf young people. And so I started a sign language class at work with staff members, or what have you. Then now, increasingly, as you said, the management assigned me a youth program that had the deaf young people. So that's how I learned sign language very quickly. I had learned, but I'd forgotten. So then, the more I interacted with the deaf people, I realized some of them were different from others. Some were really fluent, some were not, some were withdrawn. Like, okay, you never think that within deaf people there is also diversity within.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You
that's
think
when
that they are one brand, it's like one closed box.
Yeah.
You say deaf people, one.
Yeah, it's just how you think all Africans are all African. Where you think when Wazungus think all black people are the same, we think all Chinese are the same, but they're very different. Yeah. So that's when I was keen on understanding what happens to them when they're younger, because now these ones are between 18 to 24. So I started studying around deaf children, what is it that can be done so that by the time they are young adults, they have a better life. So that's when I came across a study, a longitudinal study by the World Federation of the Deaf. So it's sort of like an equivalent of WHO for deaf people.
For deaf people, yeah.
So they're the ones who now issue position papers, whatever. So they had done a longitudinal study, I don't know for how many years, but what I know is it was almost 100 plus countries. And they had now had evidence that to eradicate deaf exclusion, it has to start within the first 5 years. Because deaf children are born by hearing people who are not prepared for deafness. So they take a very long time to expose them to language, and then part of their brain shrinks. It's irreversible, so they always have language developmental delays. If you have language development delays, you don't have currency for life. So when I read that, I was like, oh, no way, research. It's like, this is it. So I read a lot of data, research, and I was like, this is so unfair. And the solution is so easy.
But just hold on. That seems like there's a passion growing. Where did this passion for the deaf, apart from just being you can't say you're in Indonesia, you see various people with different disabilities, including the deaf, and then for some reason your mind just hooks onto the deaf and not the others, the blind, the disabled, the physically disabled, lame, and so on. Where is this passion coming from? I'm wondering. Some people usually develop passion because they have a deaf person in their family, or they have a friend who gave birth and then the child is deaf. For you, where is it coming from? It sounds very deep.
Do I have an answer?
Do you have an answer?
I don't think so.
So it's just a growing passion from nowhere. Because by the time you're doing all those research, it sounds like you're digging deep because there's like a passion somewhere.
Yes. Maybe let's underline the word social justice.
Okay.
Because for me, when I read, I was like, what? It's so easy. Why isn't someone not doing anything about it?
Okay. So the exclusion aspect, it's not justice, it's that exclusion.
Yeah. I think for me, that's what triggered me. And then whenever, I don't know, there are some injustices that trigger me more than others. So I think for me, this particular one is the one that I felt heavy. And I felt, no way. So the solution is so easy. Why are people not doing anything about it? And then you see, I think having spent time with deaf children for 2 years, and then I'm reading this, I'm like, impossible. If they, so why, so I think by the virtue of that, I'd already lived with them. And then I'm reading, and I don't know whether if I hadn't lived with them, it would have been the same. I don't know. Maybe it would have been any other document I'm reading. Or I think the other thing is, when I was in Indonesia, that's when I realized I am black. That's when I said, oh my God, I am from a different race. And they don't like me very much because I'm different.
As much as you're the lightest of the black yourself, you felt you stood out there different.
Yes, because we were different races within the program. So there were white people from Canada, the US, then there were us. So you could feel the treatment is different. And then also being a young lady, I remember my first boss, who later was, who retired, did not believe that I was qualified. Day one, when we were being inducted, then she's probably thinking, who is coming? That one. Are you sure? I don't. So it's like, I had never felt being a woman. Of course you're a woman, but when someone thinks it's a disadvantage and then they tell you on your face, it's a different experience of like, what am I supposed to be? How does a qualified woman look like? How is my brain supposed to be different? You're like, huh? So someone puts doubt in who you are and who you think you are, and no one has ever questioned that. So I think those pockets of been questioned because of my skin color, because of my gender. And now I'm coming back. Now I realize I'd already had sort of like baggage. And then when I remember when coming back, I'm like, yeah, we're so different. The world is big and very diverse. And also thinking, I think maybe some people have a better life because of their skin color or because of their gender, what have you. So I think I was already processing those barriers of inclusion as an individual. And then now I was also working with children who have disabilities. And the sad thing in Indonesia at that time, I hope things have changed, they put them in institutions.
Oh, yeah, so
Like-
they're secluded from the rest of society
And there was also a lot of superstition.
around it.
Yeah. And I remember since I learned the language later, I'd wonder what's wrong with this black girl? What does she want with people whom we do not think? Like it was so clear, like So it was, I think it was tougher for children with disabilities in Indonesia than Kenya.
Okay.
In terms of the religious connotations or superstitious beliefs around disability.
Yeah.
I think here we are more accepting. So I faced all those barriers. So now I'm coming back and then I'm reading this and I'm thinking this is so unfair. So I think I was also processing my own emotions, but then I also think God has wired me for social justice. So the reason I don't have an answer is I don't know whether later God will introduce me to another space of injustice, then it will be something that, but for now, I know, it's deaf children.
Yeah, but a passion is a passion, and yes, you can, passions can shift.
Yeah,
depending on the season, and of course. So you are researching, and this is obviously. Are you reflecting on this? Are you a journaler so that you're reflecting on this and saying, oh, there is something that is driving me about deaf inclusion?
Yeah. So. I must have journals. I said journaling. Journaling is one of the ways in which I empty.
Yeah.
In fact, they are stuck. I've written them for my children. Even when I was in high school, I still have them, but I can't quite remember specifically. But I think at that time I was, okay, let me take you back. The reason I took that opportunity, let me introduce the boy again, is because I was engaged to someone, and then the engagement didn't work, and it was really hurting. And then I think my dad and my mom were trying to help me overcome. So in their way of helping, I'm thinking maybe you need to go somewhere else and forget, So
that's how you went to.
I think so. I'm not sure. It's just we haven't really discussed, but I suspect maybe my uncle will watch this because he's the one who they're very close with my dad, and sometimes my uncle would see some statements like, "Oh, that sounds like my dad." Anyway, so I remember he's the one who introduced me to the opportunity. He told me, "Oh, it's a good opportunity. You should apply." And I don't know what I want. He actually did it together. He really supported me.
Made sure that you did it.
Yeah, and submitted it. Went for the interview. Then I got it. I'm like, oh Allah. So I was running away from pain. Then I go to Indonesia. Again, remember the story of when I left my job. I also went somewhere else, running away from me. I'm thinking it's not me. I'm thinking it's them. Then I realize it's me. So I did the same thing.
That's a very interesting, for another day, but that's a very interesting conversation there, running away from me.
So I went there because I was running away. So now when I'm coming back, I'm processing racism, disability exclusion, gender exclusion, or hostility, like why are you a woman, why should you be leading, and then now the grief and loss to the relationship. So like those four things. Then when I coming back to the Kenyan office, there's this gentleman, he's called John. He's teaching people about social inclusion. Then I sit in that training. Then he writes, some of the tools he had was, have you experienced any of the following painful experiences as a woman? As all the things I'd got, I'm like, huh? So he's telling us to write.
It was your catalog.
Yeah. And then I'm thinking, so when we did that session, because he was helping us identify the pains, and then identify why those things are done to us, and to understand the system that we live in, and then we were looking for solutions. And one of the solutions was to process our pain, and then if you have any leftover feelings, then you are redirected somewhere else. And then that's when I'm reading about deaf people. So I think everything culminated in, I need to deal with all these things that exclude us. So in as much as I'm not deaf, I'd faced my own fair share of exclusion, and that made me question who I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we take a break and look at